Hello, people, and welcome to another chat. Today I'm speaking to someone who is originally from Russia. We're not going to go too political, but I understand for some people it might be a touchy subject, so I just want to warn you in advance. Please keep an open mind and keep your comments respectful, and watch till the end. Make sure to get comfortable, grab your favorite drink, and let's get started. All right then. So, since we can record and chat shit, would you like to introduce yourself to our wonderful audience?
Hi guys, my name is Irina, and I am originally from Russia, and I'm now living in the UK. I've been in digital marketing industry for exactly 18 years now, which sounds like a bit of a crazy number. And I'm working as a head of PPC here. And when I got this job, I honestly felt what I imagine Donald Trump must have felt during his first presidency, because I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. So yeah, that's me.
How was it transitioning into a head of role?
It was interesting. I'll say that much, and it's a very British way to put it. I'm aware they were kind of actively trying to recruit somebody for head of the department, and as a matter of fact, they were talking to Jason about it, our mutual friend. But unfortunately, things did not quite work out, and eventually they're like, "Hey, Rena, do you want to be head of a department?" I was like, "Yeah, but I also have no idea what I'm gonna do." From this perspective, they were actually very, very helpful, and I had a lot of support. It was a little scary, but I still need to kind of remember that it's important to be humble, and it's important to remember and recognize when you need that help. And occasionally I'm like, either like, no, I've got it, I know exactly what I'm doing, or like, I probably shouldn't disturb my boss about such like a minor little thing. Yeah, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
But it's fine. I think a lot of being in a leadership position really is like being in a position to make those mistakes and recover from it.
No, that's very true. I guess it's like as long as you learn from these mistakes as well, and you kind of there is a saying in Russia: "Don't step on the same rake." So like when you step on the rake, it like hits you on the forehead. And in Russia, we say like you keep stepping on the same rake when you keep making the same mistake over and over again. So I've been known to step on the same rake a couple of times. Until I learned, until I got like a massive lump on my forehead. But I'm learning.
I think Greek sayings are far less kind. The thing I kept hearing from my grandfather was, if you make the ass the cool call, you get the shit. And
I like that.
and do you ever miss just being able to dive into an account and numbers and not deal with head of department stuff?
I still do that at my work. Like I still do like quite a bit of hands-on work, but I have sometimes I do miss that time. It's almost like I was kind of remembering how it felt to be in school like a few years ago. I was like, oh, it was so great to be at school. Like even though you hated it, you were like, you know what? Like you had next to zero responsibilities other than just like keep your grades up and stuff. So sometimes I'm like, I really sometimes like I wish I was just like cracking on with what I do best, like just work on the account and just not think about all this, like extra level stuff. But then I'm like, but on the other hand, like it's kind of very rewarding because like I'm just again I'm thinking back where I used to be and where the department used to be, and now I'm looking at it. I'm like, wow, like our department is like so skilled now, and we have like really good morale. And I'm just like thinking several years back, I was like, yeah, we went a long way. And I'm like, I've done this, like not me alone, but I understand that I played probably considerable role in that. So I miss this, but at the same time, I'm like, would I trade this, to kind of go back? And I'm like, I'm not so sure I would.
Yeah, and I've heard it from another guy I was chatting on here, Victor, and
Yeah.
he was saying that his dream job is like the same thing he does, but with more responsibility. There's the whole other side that people say, oh, never make your best developer your head of department, or a lot of devs.
Interesting.
Yeah, and a lot of devs, they are forced into that role because that's the only progression path, and they hate
Of
themselves. And it's
course.
like,
Of
I wish I
course,
was writing
because
code.
yeah, because you can't really do as much hands-on work as you used to. No, I completely, I can completely understand that, and it does resonate with me to a degree.
I'm going to go back into the fact that you're Russian.
Ooh, go on.
Because well, I'm even having you on here, really.
I guess so. Yeah, go on then. Go on then.
I was speaking with them as well, and about overall discrimination, kinda.
Sure.
And you came to mind because it's like not only you're from a nation that people pretty much thought as like thieves and or criminals, something that's been on the best of times. You also have like a very distinct personal style. So I was wondering how was your experience through, those 18 years of marketing and being a person in a different country?
Yeah. You know what? Like it was a bit of a mixed bag. Like the place where I am right now, totally chill, no, like no issues whatsoever, either about my nationality or about like shitty KGB jokes that I make sometimes, or about my appearance, which is also refreshing. Like you said, I have like a very distinct style. Whereas some of the places I worked in, and like I'm not going to like name any names
No.
right now, but one of the places I essentially had to leave because I've been told I have to cover the tattoo on my head, and as you can see, I have a big dragon tattoo right here. Otherwise, will not be able to attend the client meetings, which was a bit of a shock, truth be told, because I would have thought, and this was in England. This was not in Russia, and I would have thought that like sort of like people here would have kind of like left this like far behind, whereas in Russia, when I had a lot less tattoos, I was interviewing for a position in a financial company, and it was pretty funny because well, for me it's funny now, but back then I was like, what the hell? Because in order to pass the interview, one of the stages was to pass the polygraph and and have a chat with a security person. So when I was having a chat with a security person, this sleeve, right, this tattoo, it was only done up until here. And it was just like peeking, this bit was like peeking from under my sleeve a little bit. So this security person, he spotted the sleeve, and that was the only visible tattoo I had. He spotted the sleeve and was like, how do you feel about your tattoos? And I was like, how do you feel about it? I was like, it's just the tattoos, I'm not a criminal, because there is like a big sort of stigma / misconception in Russia. Like if you have tattoos, you have been in prison. I did face like quite a bit more of kind of not exactly discrimination, but like a bit of frowning upon, like back in Russia. So for example, one of my first jobs, I used to have piercing on my lip. One of my first jobs, when I had a couple of interviews, they were like, we're taking you to this job, but you're going to have to get rid of your piercing. And I was like, I mean, if I have to, and like now I cannot honestly imagine somebody like telling me something like that, like take off your piercing and then we'll have a think about it, but yeah, back then I was like, okay, yeah.
When did you move to England?
I moved to England in 2016, but I've not moved from Russia, so I've not lived in Russia since 2010. Between 2010 and 2016, I lived in Montenegro, which is another kind of big chapter of my life, I guess. Yeah, it's going to be 9 years this year. I was just like frantically trying to remember what year is that. And yeah, I became a British citizen a couple of years ago, which was a very good timing indeed. Because if I still had only Russian passport, I imagine things would have been a lot more complicated for me.
Yeah, because I've heard from people over here as well that they start kicking out Russian students. They wouldn't renew visas, even for people living for quite a while.
Yeah, it's I not heard anything of a sort about Britain, but I do know that countries like Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, they're like not super keen on that, but they were never like really keen on Russia, and I can hardly blame them, truth be told. This said, the Russian embassies around the world and around Europe specifically, they just kind of hands down refusing to renew your passport, like something of a sort, or it's just becoming like, well, not very safe, truth be told, to come in the Russian embassy if you're kind of living abroad, if you have dual citizenship. So I actually have my Russian passport running out sometime this year, and I'm like, I don't really feel like going to Russian embassy, you know. So
it's definitely not worth the trouble, especially now that you have a different one. It's like
probably not. No.
in the Czech Republic, we got, I think, close to 1 million Ukrainian refugees, and especially after the 2022 war started.
Sure.
It was weird because you would interview for companies, and it would be companies that brought all their Russian developers to the Czech Republic, at least for a bit. And like, I had some very weird interviews. There was one, and it was just like a normal thing in Prague, and they were looking for a developer / project manager, either or. At the end of the interview, one of them drops in like the thickest Russian accent. Do you speak any Russian? And it was a terrible interview too, so I was like, yeah. And I just say, I think, извините, это мой велосипед. And the guy just looks at me like I killed his mother or something. He was just like, okay, no jokes, I'm sorry.
That's brilliant. Did you say, извините, это мой велосипед?
Yeah.
That's a very random thing to ask. I mean, it's in Czech Republic. Ask it like, do you speak Russian? Like, what? Why would you need to speak Russian? Like, yeah, fair enough. There is like a company full of Russians, but surely, like, you're abroad, like, surely you would want to speak like at least English.
Yeah, and it's funny because I've seen it a lot with positions now that I'm looking for my next thing, and you go through like the HR round or something, and then you're like, oh, here's a questionnaire. Oh, select your level of Russian. And it's like non-existent.
What the hell? That is very random. That is very random.
Before Russia was like the evil empire that it is now, at least visibly. Were English okay with you being Russian? Like, did you have any troubles?
Absolutely not. Like, to be fair, I've not ever had anybody like have a go at me because of my nationality, because I was Russian. Like, as a matter of fact, like the only people who had problem with me as a Russian is my former compatriots, you know. So when obviously like all shit broke loose in 2022, and I took a very distinct stance, and I was supporting Ukraine. I still support Ukraine, and I always will, because even though I'm from Russia originally, I have family in Russia, but I also have part of my family in Ukraine. I have a lot of friends living in Ukraine, and I'm like, how can I possibly stay silent when shit like that is happening? And this is when I learned that a lot of my former classmates, former colleagues, even some part of my family, so passionate about, like about being patriots, you know how they call it. I have had threads coming into my inbox to say, like, if you will ever come back to Russia, like I will see to it that you're arrested. It was to a degree where I ended up erasing certain posts online on a Russian social network, which is called vk.com. On VK, I made sure to like remove all the posts that could be like in any way incriminating. But truth be told, if they really wanted to kind of have a go at me or my family because of that, they absolutely could. And I ended up removing my maiden last name just so they wouldn't track me down to my mother, so she wouldn't get in any trouble. It is like really weird and really funny because, like I said, I've not faced any discrimination whatsoever about the fact that I'm Russian. There was kind of like a joking way when I was like leaving one of the companies. My good friend from this agency said like, "Hey Irina, we can use your departure as a PR. Like, look, Irina is Russian, and we got rid of her because we support Ukraine." And I was like, "Go on then, I dare you to."
But I mean, like you said, some playful banter based on nationality, like
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
It was weird to me because I actually didn't feel more like a minority than ever since I moved to the Czech Republic.
Right.
Kind of get two reactions when I say I'm Greek. It's like, oh my god, I love my Greek holidays. That's amazing. Or, oh, you poor people. I guess that there's one more of you like in this country.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, hello. Like in England, I got called Mr. Feta by someone. Uh, and with the power dynamic, it wasn't all right, but it was like,
Right.
whatever, fuck it. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
over here, it was just like, okay, why am I criminal?
What the hell? That's so random. So like, do Greeks have sort of reputation in Czech Republic or something?
I think it's more of a global one. I was jokingly saying that we're the Mexico of Europe, but I guess it's more and more real.
Are you
Um,
actually?
well, we're bankrupt. We get a lot of drug and body trafficking. We
Wow,
commit war
okay.
crimes. And we don't pay our bills. So, I think like the foreign politics of it are not necessarily great. And considering
Right, I
like a
see.
lot of Greeks, especially around 2012,
Yeah.
just left because they were like, oh, I make more money working at Tesco in like a random
Right, I
UK
see.
city than back
Yeah,
home.
sure.
But it's not necessarily people that want to integrate. So you just get a bunch of like Greek people keeping to themselves and not
I
doing
see.
great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I've seen kind of people of various nationalities like that. That they just kind of they keep to kind of their own diasporas, and they don't really want to integrate. They don't feel like integrating, which is I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, but
Yeah, because at least with me as an expat, right? And it was different in England because to me, England did EU the best out of all countries I've been in,
sure.
and it just felt very organic. People generally able to speak English, you can communicate, and so
Yeah,
on. Now being an expat in a different country, it just feels like there's so many steps you need to take to actually integrate with the
sure.
society that if
Yeah.
you just keep to your group, it's insanely difficult.
Do you have like a bit of a language barrier when it comes to Czech?
Yeah, it's very difficult. Like I had my first interview in Czech and I managed to do like 20 minutes of it. And it's one of those cases that when they speak Czech with English, especially for like tech, it's fine. Or
Hmm.
if it's like a normal day-to-day interaction. But then me doing a client meeting in Czech, that's not even close.
I completely understand because I told you I used to live in Montenegro, and at some point, like I started picking up Serbian. Like I didn't attend courses or anything of the sort, but I was like I could sustain like a very very basic conversation, like I don't know, order food at a restaurant or just like tell taxi drivers the directions and just answer some very basic questions. But like talk about certain things like professionally, like when I would go to doctor and they were like, "Oh, what's bothering you?" And I was like, "Do you speak English?" Because like I do not have like this knowledge of Serbian to that degree to explain what exactly is wrong with me.
That was my favorite part of learning Czech, actually, that I
Yeah,
started being able to understand more Slavic languages. Not in the sense
right.
that I can speak it, but in the sense that,
Yeah.
I was in Croatia and words made sense.
Yes. Yeah, 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 yeah. This kind of, like it doesn't blend together, but you kind of, like you start understanding this a little bit more. I kind of I started having it with Ukrainian because like I actually like I know only very few words in Ukrainian. When I started like trying to kind of actively like look and listen, I was like, okay, so this word means that, so that actually makes sense. And I realized that like Ukrainian is like almost between like a Serbian and Russian, like somewhere in between. So yeah, it's a cool language, a very fascinating one.
We get a lot of Ukrainian kids in schools now. I think it's pretty global, but from mainstream media, it's like, don't speak Russian to Ukrainians, it's a different language and everything.
Mm.
But when it came to it, it was like the kids were very appreciative that there was someone who could speak something they could kind of understand.
It's a bit of a difficult one because like I can totally understand and I can totally appreciate why Ukrainians don't want to speak Russian. But I also know that there are Ukrainian people who simply don't speak Ukrainian, and that's okay. But I know several people in Ukraine, they speak Russian, I speak Russian, I don't speak Ukrainian, they don't speak English. So the only middle language where we can meet is Russian, really. But I also understand that this is a language of people who came to their country and they essentially just like taking this country apart brick by brick. I can understand this, but this is also like, this is making things unnecessarily difficult.
I actually had this discussion about programming languages as well, that at the end of the day, it's a tool to communicate something.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And while I understand the political connotations around it, sometimes it's like, it doesn't have to be political, it's just a tool you'd want to communicate with someone.
Yeah, it is very much a tool. And it is like interesting that you mentioned the programming languages because I'm kind of, like I tried learning sort of several languages in my lifetime. Like obviously I learned a bit of Serbian. I tried to learn a little bit of Spanish, didn't go too far. I'm now trying to kind of pick up on a bit of Japanese because we're going to visit Japan later on this year, which
nice.
I'm very, very excited about. But it kind of, like when you think about it as a programming language, you're like, oh, this is the same concept. You're literally like you're talking to a computer in a certain way. Like, and I guess like once you understand like one programming language, you were just like, oh, okay, so like this is what this different programming language does, but in a different words, essentially.
And I think languages, like natural ones, work quite similar because it's like you have the groups. So obviously, if you speak a Slavic language, you can pick up a different Slavic language easier. In
Sure.
the same sense, if you know C#, you can pick up Java. So you still have similar concepts. You have to communicate. How do you say good morning, for example?
Right.
But the grammar around it can be completely different.
I was this kind of reminded me. I have like a bit of a funny story about about like a language barrier that I hit living in Montenegro, because there are certain words in Russian that sound very similar or exactly the same in Serbian, but they mean different things. So, for example, kurica, which is chicken in Russia, actually means dick.
Yeah, boy.
In Serbian.
I had similar thing with Czech, and it's how some letters change with how strong you pronounce them. So, for example, t and ch are completely different, but my Greek brain is like literally the same.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Because even in English, if you say chains or chains, whatever.
Yeah.
But in Czech, if you say moc, means a lot. If you say moch, means peace. So when I first came over here, I was saying a lot of thank you for the peace. I cannot even hear the difference.
No, I completely understand, and it is a funny thing about the language barrier, and obviously it is funny when you're remembering this, but like when it actually happens, you just you want to die.
Yeah, it's something I can ask people now. How do you handle stress from work? How do you cope with life, really?
Oof. One word, Alexander. Antidepressants.
Fuck yeah.
To be fair, like stress at work can get like very kind of, it comes in waves. Like, agency life is never linear. It's always like, it's peaks and troughs. Sometimes it's like nice and relaxed. Sometimes it's like absolutely overwhelming. And I'm just, I want to try and pull my non-existent hair out of my head. But a lot of things do help. Like I've picked up meditation several years ago, and I was always kind of very skeptical about it. But I was just kind of talking to a therapist several years ago, and she just literally she made me promise that I will try meditation. I was like, oh God, you know what? I'll do it. So literally I got into it because I promised my therapist I would do that, and I did it for about a week or two, and I just I realized that there are certain things, there's certain patterns that I used to have in my kind of everyday routine. They're just not there anymore. When you're getting like a really difficult email at work, or if client has been like really difficult on the call, you're like, instead of like straight away engaging and like pouring your like all your emotions into it, you're just like take a breather, have a step back, have a think, like what's the best way of, of responding to that. Calm down, it's just work. And that's another thing that I keep reminding myself, like it's just work, because a lot of the time I realize, and I heard this from a lot of colleagues in the industry as well, sometimes we give too much shit, like we really give too much shit. And you just, like at the end of the day, when, like when something kicks off, like, I don't know, you made a mistake, or I don't know, the client overspent budget or something of a sort, you're like, oh my God, like what have I done? And you just, you're panicking, you're just, you're running in circles, and, like everything around like goes up in flames, but you're like, right, okay, like nobody died to begin with, like what's the worst that could have happened? Somebody would die, right? But thankfully in our job, that's not it. There are times when you really need to kind of get your ass in gear, and you're like, okay, can deal with this right now. But a lot of the time it's like, it's not as bad as it seems. And you just, you need to remember that, and you need to kind of remind your brain about it as well. Like
The thing you said about, even if something goes wrong, people won't die.
Yeah.
It's something like I keep discussing with developers a lot. It's like most of us don't work in something very critical. Like, if you are in banking, telecoms, military, it's stressful.
Yeah.
People might die.
Yeah.
But it's like if you are doing e-commerce and the website goes down for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like I've only worked with one client who, if their website went down for like a day, they would completely go bankrupt. And it was terrible.
Jesus.
It was a client at an agency we worked at. Long story short, they wanted a new e-commerce website. It was at the time where we were like, we're just going to use Shopify and quickly launch a site. Their backend was in PHP from like 2007 and completely custom. And because they did musical CDs, but like for old people, essentially. So we had this whole monster to deal with.
Sure.
But we couldn't necessarily disrupt them because, if their whole ordering mechanism failed for like a day, that could actually impact the company with very low margins. And obviously, because you had no budget to work with as well, it was just like a critical situation, because you realize, if I fuck this up, people might lose their jobs and the company might go bankrupt. And this is like the amount of unnecessary pressure that
I was about to say, like, this must have been like such a pressure. Did you like succeeded in eventually?
No. I'm not sure if it survived, but it definitely had less of a catalog, less of a thing. Which is the wonders of Agile, but
Yeah. Oh my God.
I hope they survived. And another thing I want to talk to you about is your photography.
Yes.
How does it feel to be behind the lens and capturing normality?
So and I guess this is something that I kind of failed to mention when I was introducing myself. I used to be a model, and I still do kind of model every now and then. I got in modeling back when I lived in Montenegro, which was like right after me and my husband got married, and we had like a couple of photographers on our wedding. And they took absolutely amazing pictures, and it was kind of around the Halloween time, and I always wanted to do something like some cool like vampire whatever Halloween photo shoot, and I asked the photographer, like, how much would you charge me for a Halloween shoot? And she was like, you know what, if the idea is good, I'll do it for free. And I was like, oh, cool. So we kind of teamed up. We did a few shoots together. Then. And then I did like a few shoots with different photographers. Then I moved here in the UK, and I did like kind of a few more shoots there. Then I got into martial arts. I was doing Thai boxing, and I realized that I don't have enough time and energy to do both at the same time. And I just basically I put the modeling on the back burner. But then at the end of 2019, in the sparring, I had my rib broken. I won the sparring, something that I'm still proud of to the day. Yes, and it was against the dude as well.
Nice.
He broke my rib, but I won the round. And then at the end, I sat down and I was like, okay, something's not right. This put me out of not just Thai boxing, but any sort of training for several months, which taught me a lesson. First of all, hold your guard. second, I'm probably too old to, to like be beaten up for fun. And I was like, you know what, I probably just like should stick to less violent hobbies. Like I did pretty much nothing. I just like did a bit of running. I did a bit of workouts at home. And then like during one of the lockdowns, I ended up shaving my head because it was very difficult to maintain because all of the kind of barbers and whatever, they were just closed for the lockdown. And I was like, you know what, I'm done. And then when the lockdowns kind of started lifting, I was like, I think I need a new LinkedIn profile picture, because I have a bust hair and looks like I'm gonna keep it. And yeah, it's been like 4 years now. And I went to a photographer that I used to work with, and she took a few pictures of me. And then she was like, "Hey, Irina, I have like a few ideas for shoots. Like, do you wanna do that?" And this is how I picked up modeling again. And I started doing it a lot more actively than I used to do because I think like people kind of were digging the whole shaved head look. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's cool. I like it. And I did quite a lot of stuff. I ended up being super busy. I had a photo shoot pretty much every weekend. Sometimes I had like 2 photo shoots a week. And I was like, you know what? Like I'm getting way too busy now. And then I started realizing, and probably a little bit too late as well, that I fell into kind of like a bit of a addiction trap with the social media. The more I post, the more likes I get, and also, funnily enough, like the less clothes I wear, the more likes I get. This didn't take me like too long to figure out, but it took me a while to actually stop. And it was very difficult to do that. And I was like, you know what, I need to stop it. First of all, because I was too busy. And second, because like I kept like, going back to this social media trap, like, I kept like validating myself through the like all of the likes that I was getting. And I was like, you know what, I need to change this. But I knew that I would stop modeling at some point in my life. And I would not do it like quite as regularly, but I still wanted to do something with a camera. I ended up getting a Fujifilm, same as my husband, because then I could steal his lenses. And I started trying to capture street photography. This was something that you're going to laugh, because this was something that I got inspired by a film, and this was also a film that I happened to have a cosplay shoot about. And the film is called Midnight Meat Train. Amazing film, like one of my favorite horrors. And it features a street photographer. And I was like, you know what, that's actually kind of cool. And there were just like a few lines in this film, like like there was a basically owner of a gallery explaining to a street photographer why these pictures are good but not great. And I was like, I was watching this and I was like, this is interesting, like this is actually like really fascinating. And I'm just kind of trying myself on the other side of a camera now, and it's fun. It's difficult. It can be difficult because sometimes you kind of, you walk around town for an hour and you get nothing. Like there's nothing interesting happens. Like there is no good light. There are no cool people. There are no like cool angles and whatnot. But sometimes, like, I don't know, at the end of this hour, like for 5 minutes, you're like, oh my God, like this is happening. I need to capture that. With this in mind, like I am taking pictures. I'm trying to take my camera wherever I go. But I still, every now and then, like I have photo shoots booked, like, but I'm trying not to have like more than one photo shoot a month or one in 2 months. Like, for example, I have one scheduled in June, and this is going to be Ghost in the Shell inspired one, and
Nice.
I'm very, very, very hyped about that one.
Nice. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, man. I'm very looking forward to doing that as well.
But the tricky part with having to carry your camera everywhere is, like, I feel it because I actually bought a camera.
Right. Which one have you got?
Let's see. I shoot some of the videos with it too. It's like a Canon E50.
Oh, I love this.
So
Very
it's digital. And yeah, pretty much I just picked this lens because I asked Stuart, who's into photography, pick me a
Yeah.
lens.
Yeah.
So he picked me this, and it's great and everything.
Yeah.
But I feel it's a bit too bulky to carry with everywhere.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like when I feel like I would need it, it's usually my iPhone that I use.
Right. I completely understand, and I kind of tried a few different lenses, and now I have like this one, which is like it's relatively small. It's 56 millimeters, and I have like this strap that I just kind of it's crossbody, so I just like I put it across my body and I just carry it like whatever. Like I don't even I don't even remember it's there until I need it. There were a couple of times when like I had a bit of a brain freeze even though I had a camera with me, and like I didn't take a picture, and I was like, this would have been a great picture. To give an example, it was I went to London to take some pictures there, and we are walking past this bridge near the Westminster Abbey, and we're seeing two people dressed as Batman and Robin arresting a guy.
What?
Yes, and I was like, "What is happening here?" And then later on, I saw it in the news. It's apparently a thing. The police undercover, dressed as Batman and Robin, arresting bad guys. And I was like, and it was literally right next to me, and I had a brain freeze, and I didn't take a picture. I was like, I'm an idiot. I still hate myself for that. But yeah, it was very, very random. So what do you take like pictures of, or is it just like mainly videos you take?
So the original plan was that I can use it for miniatures, and I can also just use it for hikes.
Yeah.
Because I have very limited pictures actually from that. But like
Right.
we would go on like forest hikes, and there's a castle or a pub in the woods, and
Yeah.
I just like the colors of it. I
Yeah.
think my YouTube banner is actually from that.
Cool.
Yeah, it ended up being mostly that I use it as a webcam for videos, so it's
Nice.
better quality. But I have an
Yeah.
issue with it, which is very stupid. It doesn't actually charge from USB, so I only get about half an hour of footage before I need to swap batteries.
Oh.
So I was using it for the chats or like job interviews and everything.
Yeah.
But unless I have that break, and then you move it and it's like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that is annoying.
And since we're pretty much running out of time, I just wanted to give you the opportunity. Any shout outs you want to do, anything you would like to plug?
Oh, any shout outs? No, probably not.
Well then, thank you for coming. I'll put some of the links for your LinkedIn photography and stuff in the description so people can find you if they need to.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alexander. Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it was really great chatting with you after all this time, and
Yeah, I
it
know.
was amazing.
Yeah, should do it again.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to come on whenever. Really.
Awesome. Yeah. If you will have me, man, I'll come again.
All right, have a great day and speak again soon.
Thank you so much. Bye.
After the video, we're going to do a reading session. This is stupid. When you put on the clown makeup, it never washes off.